All in the face.
What I want to do is
I just can't stop. I guess you gotta do it on your laptop.
What you mean?
Maybe to have a better experience with the YouTube live thing.
No, I think I can get it here.
Ooh.
I just want to go back to the page. Oh, no, that's not it. That ain't it. There we go.
Why every live we do start off like this?
All right, so the link is in there, and we can then go back here like that there.
Okay.
And then
Why are we like this?
we can turn the camera on, and we should be good.
You.
All right, family. Look, y'all know we having trouble with this technology. So we're gonna wait for a few people to get in this thing. The Zoom link is in the chat. It is the first one in the chat, the first thing in the chat. So we're gonna talk Dr. King, we're gonna talk health, we're gonna talk all kind of stuff today. You gotta pause it.
No.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Can't see y'all. We coming? Can you see us now? We're a little delayed. Yeah.
Get the camera on for a second while we're getting situated. Like our lives.
Look like I'm gonna jump. Live.
Jump. Uh-oh. You gonna jump on your own live?
1 second, so I'll be able to copy.
Oh yeah, to put your links in.
Yeah, to put the link.
They said, what happened to the King video?
So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that.
Just a second. Ooh.
We'll talk about the King video.
We're coming, guys.
All right. Right. Oh, we're still giving feedback.
Can you turn it down? Your phone?
There we go. I just need to copy this link. All right. Leave me. All right. All right. Ellis Doc in the building. What's happening? So somebody wants to know what happened to the King video. We gonna talk about that. I feel like I was done dirty behind that King video. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about it. So I stayed up all night making this video that was supposed to drop at 8 in the morning. When I actually went to look at the video, my portions of the video, because I had like an introduction talking about Dr. King, and in 1964, he won, I think it was 1964, he wins the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's on his way to, I believe it's to pick up the Peace Prize, and he's in Oslo somewhere, and he's in London, and he is in front of the entire world. Basically, the world is watching this man. He is at the height of his popularity, the height of his political influence, and he gives a speech that talks about segregation in the United States and the apartheid struggle in South Africa. And he spends an extensive amount of time, obviously talking about the South, in the U.S., but an extensive amount of time discussing South Africa. He mentions Nelson Mandela and several other great leaders, and he mentions the struggle of the South African people, and that he even said, like, at least we here in the South, and talking about in the Southern United States, in Mississippi, we can organize, we can work. They were saying the apartheid regime was so oppressive and so oppressive and so violent that a person who was like Dr. King, who was dedicated to nonviolence, understood why, like the ANC and others, resort to stuff like sabotage and even thought of taking up arms against the apartheid regime. So, but yeah, so I had all that. I had little clips of it. Man, I put that video up. It didn't show me. I was fine with that because Dr. King's words were more than enough to be moving and exhilarating and entertaining and enlightening. But then around 12 minutes in of the video, it started this double talk to where it's like two speeches were playing at the same time. And I don't know what happened. I think the devil was hating on me. The devil was hating on me. So but we can take some time to talk about the great, because today is still his birthday, or today is still the holiday for Dr. King in the United States, you know. And in my opinion, and people find it strange that a Muslim man who is from the lineage of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from the lineage of Brother Malcolm X, from the lineage of Muhammad Ali, and Minister Farrakhan, would say that Dr. King, a Christian, is the greatest American ever produced. But I stand on it, stand by it, and I can defend it and will defend it tooth and nail. This man taught the world. Here he comes from a people who were lynched just for their mere existence, hung from trees for sacrifices, hung from trees, and Emmett Till was beaten brutally and thrown in a river till his body got bloated. And all of these vicious things from a group of people who had entire cities and towns burned to the ground. Black men were captured and castrated and left to hang on it from a tree in public, from a most hated group of people. For whatever reason, they hated this group of people. Yet he led with love. He led with nonviolence. Furthermore, you will not find a more intellectually proficient American ever produced. If you go and read the letter from a Birmingham jail, he's quoting like Thoreau, and he's quoting everything from the Bible to Aristotle. Keep in mind, he's sitting in the jail with a pen and a pad. No internet, no typewriter, no computer. Go read and see how profoundly intelligent that letter from a Birmingham jail is. And so, which also made me think, today we visited the Nelson Mandela house and we saw some letters that he had written. First of all, it was written in, I guess, where was it?
You know what? I didn't get close enough to.
It wasn't English, but his handwriting was phenomenal. I was like, man, look at his handwriting, it's clear. But they said he could only write 2 letters a year, 500 words or less. I was like, man. So that is oppressive.
They saw something they didn't like in the letter, they would have to scratch it out or tear the whole thing out.
So now that's oppressive. That is far beyond. I mean, we had Dr. King writing a letter from a jail that turned into a book. They published it, right? So so when he says, so he actually says that the South African apartheid regime was the worst. This is not a direct quote, but he did call it the worst, like racial oppression, racial segregation on the face of the earth. And eventually, at the end of the speech, he calls for economic sanctions. He calls for the United States and the UK and the rest of the world to stop trading with South Africa, stop buying anything that South Africa produced. Now, keep in mind, this is during the apartheid. This is 1964. King was killed in 68, right? So he is calling for this, which is what I wanted my South African family to see, was that our greatest leader, our greatest Black leader, in that speech, he talks about African Americans, right, had begun to believe that we were less than. He talks about the psychological warfare that began to take place against African Americans. That they created all of these ideologies and all of these theories that said that Black people were not human. That that God was made in the image, that man was made in the image of God, and obviously the Black man. How did they put it? And well, basically, that God is white, the white man is white, and obviously the Black man is not a human. That was the essential conclusion, right? And they made us believe that he talks about the curse of Ham, and because we are dark skinned, we had the curse of Ham, and all of this this stuff. But he said when the liberation and the decolonization and independence movement took place in Africa, we as African Americans began to turn our eyes to Africa, and we drew from that hope and inspiration and pride that our people were liberating themselves. And furthermore, again, I wanted my South African family to see that, again, our greatest Black leader, our greatest American, period, was a comrade in arms with the people of South Africa and the struggle to end apartheid. And when King says these things, right? All of Black America may not know what's going on with apartheid. All of Black America may not know what's happening in South Africa at this time. But when King says, we with these people, we with these people. That's it. That's how powerful Dr. King was, right? If you go to Black people's houses now, maybe not now because they took down Dr. King and put up the rock. But back in the day, you used to go to grandmama's house and you and on the wall, she had white Jesus, and right next to white Jesus, yeah, she did have white Jesus. Right next to white Jesus was Martin Luther King. You used to go to a Black church, and you know them church fans. I don't know if they had the church fans here. The fans that they like little square pieces of paper with like maybe they had looked like a popsicle stick to hold them together. Every Black church had this is true. Every Black church had that fan, and it had Dr. King on the back of that fan with a Bible quote. And I said in my portion of the video, in many ways, Dr. King became a messianic figure to Black people. Being that his blood, because he was killed by an assassin's bullet, being that his blood that was shed was able to give Black people life and give us life more abundantly. Now, I'm not saying King was Christ. What I'm saying is that the sacrifices that he made on behalf of Black people greatly ameliorated the conditions of Black people and improved our life, even if we look up today and it's still horrible. It was way worse before Dr. King. So we thank that brother for his sacrifice and for doing the work that so many, and keep in mind, Dr. King was powerful. He had influence. He had all of these people behind him for a period of time. And then people begin to turn on Dr. King. People begin to talk about Dr. King. And at one time, like before he died, he was the least popular he had ever been. Then he got shot in the head. And then everybody wanted to cry and mourn. But the rapper from Mississippi, what's that boy name? David Banner. He said Black folk don't want leaders, they want martyrs. Did y'all feel that? That was powerful. They say they don't want leaders, they want martyrs. They don't, because leaders, you actually got to follow. You got to listen, and it requires you to do some action. But a martyr is just somebody that dies for a cause, and you want to then lift them up after they are dead. So, but anyway, so that was what happened. YouTube was hating. On YouTube or my the program that I use was hating. So
let me tell you, somebody came in with a strong question in the chat.
What they say?
Polo says, Brother Assad, how do you find a wife? And how do you keep a wife? That's such a serious question.
How do you find what the Bible say when a man find a wife?
There you go.
He find a good thing and obtaineth the favor of the Lord. Man, listen, bro, I don't know. I met Adrienne when we were in college. And
young children.
Listen, she's been my friend for a long time. But I tell you what, if you getting into marriage because somebody look good, I done put on 40 pounds since we've been married. I had an afro when we got married.
Shut up.
I'm like, oh, I'm not. I've been bald since the 10th grade. Listen, I was a hot boy. Now don't play no games. I was a hot boy. Yes, Lord. But now I'm an old man. Somebody called me Elder on the other video. Elder, Negro, that's for people with gray hair, man, and people with
you got gray in the beard.
What you call that stuff? And people get that's for people who get the senior discounts at McDonald's, man. Elder. That's if you don't get the 65-cent coffee at McDonald's, you can't be called no elder. Man, call me an elder. In the United States, I ain't no old man. In the United States, because there is a difference between because I believe the South African population is much younger, as you pointed out. Yeah, it's much younger than younger demographics. So the US, it's like, I'm just hitting the stride.
But in the West, we love to be young.
Forever young.
Everybody wants to be young forever.
Forever
which is
young.
Why you have Madonna's and Mariah Carey.
Madonna look a hot mess.
65 years old.
Madonna is somebody's great grandmother. She look a hot mess.
Getting surgery.
Yeah, and they all look like cats. All their eyes be like this in the face. All their faces be tight like this.
The cat look is real. Yeah. Greetings.
Oh, let's go ahead and see what's in here, man. Who on the chat? Because I've been clowning. Uh-oh.
We know it's load shedding locally, folks.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. I was like, where everybody at? It's load shedding.
No, they didn't say that. I'm saying we know it's load shedding. This stage 6 is something different.
Y'all, like okay, day celebration. Who sent me this? Want to check in with you? Have you been listening to Brian Stevens' speech on MLK Day celebration?
MLK Day.
It was a movie speech I just said. Oh, well, thank you. Whoever sent this to me, Malus.
Appreciate it.
Please, yeah. Good time.
Aside from your extended family, do your sons miss anything specific from the state?
Food.
New Orleans food.
New Orleans food.
We all do.
Let me tell you, yeah.
Like I miss my bisque. I miss
big old facts. I can't lie to you.
Yeah.
It's hard to replace. I'm gonna put this in the chat, and I know that right now it's load shedding, so maybe a whole lot of people won't get in. Somebody says, do they have a celebration? Do they celebrate Mandela and SA? What? Man, you can't pick up a piece of money without Mandela face on it. Lord have mercy. Mandela is definitely celebrated and honored and respected and revered. He is the father of the nation. Bottom line. All money here, the paper money, got a picture of Nelson Mandela. I'm like,
and what a person to have on your money.
Yeah.
We got rapists and colonizers and everything else on our money.
I mean, we can call them that because that's the truth.
That's the truth.
Like Ben Franklin and what's his name? Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson not on the money, but Thomas Jefferson was a rapist. He had a woman that was a little girl. Oh man, they were slave owners, so definitely human traffickers.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
you got traffickers.
That's who you got on your money. And then when we were supposed to get a black woman on the money, President Obama approved us to get Harriet Tubman, a black woman, on the money. For the first time, we're going to have a black woman on the money, first time ever having a black person. Now, some people believe some old fraudulent stuff about there's a black man on the back of the $1 bill. Nigga, that's a blot of ink. That ain't no black man. Stop being silly. But they wanted to put Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill, and that was approved. And Trump said, no. We're not putting no Negroes on. Now, we've been there since the beginning. Y'all look at Don't that tell you how bad they do us? We've been there since the beginning. Before the country was a country, we was there building.
Donald say y'all taking it too far.
And we can't get a Negro on a dollar bill.
He said you want too much.
Or you could create a whole new dollar. You could create a $3 bill. You got the 1, the 2, because there's a $2 bill.
They need to get rid of all of those. Start at 5.
Well, they got the 1 and the 2. And if they created a $3 bill, black people would be $3 millionaires. Everybody had $3 bills. Man, I got that black money. But they won't put us on a coin or nothing. Nothing. Right?
Not even an MLK.
Man, not Martin Luther King. You mean to tell me Martin Luther King can't get on the $5 bill?
He can't even get on a quarter or something.
A quarter? Can we create a 75 cent? There's a 75
We're going
cent
down
piece.
a whole
But anyway, let's read some of these comments. Now we'll talk about health, y'all. So I had to go to the clinic recently. Oh well, we don't celebrate Tata Mandela.
He said, "Oh hell no, we don't celebrate." Whoop. Oh, stay away from that one.
What Tata Mandela? I don't know what that. Who's Tata Mandela? Like Asad, Mom and I are tuned in. Hello, G-Bo. Hello. Aside from the extended family, okay, we did that. Do you have? Okay, do they? We're
Well, the Cape Town Jazz Fest was canceled.
Why?
Who knew? I had no idea.
Why they canceled it? COVID?
Not COVID.
Well,
No way.
Well, you know, they say the numbers rising in the United States. But you know, bam, 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 just like that. Great family, excellent job on the documentary. Keep up the great work. Thank you, brother Rick Hill. We are yet to actually break down family structures and the differences between Africans and African Americans. I think understanding the intimate would actually influence how we relate.
Oh, Tata means father. Tata Mandela is Nelson Mandela.
They saying we don't celebrate him?
That's what he's saying. But I see
Yeah,
statues.
Stephen, I gotta disagree, my brother.
I see statues of his
likeness. They got Nelson Mandela Square. And then when you go inside the mall, they got 2 more little statues of Nelson. Ain't the M1 and the N1 for Nelson and Mandela? I don't know. I don't know if that's the truth, but no, I gotta say, now people have become critical of Nelson, like the younger generation has. I understand, but as I talk to people who are my age, elders, since y'all say I'm elder, so elders, they understand the profound difference between what apartheid life was like and what post-apartheid life was like. So, but I choose to stay out of that. I celebrate Nelson Mandela, right? I celebrate anybody who's a freedom fighter, anybody who's fighting to liberate people from being oppressed. Polo, I remember Polo. I remember Polo.
Y'all know Tata, y'all gotta learn. That's what we do.
That's what we learned. Tata.
Now we know.
Polo, where you at? You on the camera, brother? There you is. There you boy look like an actor.
I know.
He look like a young Denzel. Yeah, he look like a young Denzel or somebody. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Asad.
That boy got a voice too. Boy, you should be. That boy, you could be an actor. Boy, you better go down to the SA Hollywood and get you a script. Right. You know what I'm saying? Be starring next to Pearl Tuesday. Right. Get your wife.
Yo, you nice to be an actor, but yeah.
So what's going on, brother Polo?
Hey, this load shedding, Dr. Asad, it's out of control.
Say, bro. Say, listen. I downplayed it so much when people kept telling me, Doc, you know, we got load shedding. I was like, man, I ain't worried about that. I got an inverter. But for the last week, it's been so hot that the house is like steaming. And right now I have this little bitty fan just blowing on me to keep me from breaking out into a sweat. The AC's not working because of load shedding. Now I was like, nah.
Not to mention all the traffic.
The track, man, it took us, we were coming from 4 ways, right?
Yes.
4 ways to go to Santon, like downtown Santon. Usually a 20-minute drive, but with the lights and the traffic, with the lights being out in the traffic, it was 15 minutes. I was like, man, They gotta do something about this.
Yeah.
They gotta do something about this.
And with these fuel prices in that slow crawl traffic, I be turning off my engine every time I crawl 2 meters.
Yeah, trying to save that money, bro. Hey,
It's out
so
of
then
control.
Amazon got the nerve to go up on fees. You hear they going up on the on service fees.
Unacceptable.
Say, man, when do you do a worse job and get a raise?
It's terrible. You know,
I need my bill to be going down as much as the power is cut.
So,
I've been watching you. I've been watching you,
Yeah.
Dr. Assad, and your wife for a while, and I've heard you trying to advise us South Africans to complain less about certain things, have a more positive perspective to project, at least on these YouTube streets. But I won't lie, it's not just here in South Africa. Just for me to just like take a bird's eye view. And it's been problems, but I won't lie, it comes from, everybody knows it started with the white man. But all the problems that all of Mother Africa's children across the world are experiencing right now, a lot of them nowadays are self-inflicted. Yeah, it's sad to see. Like, I'll make an example. It goes from the betrayal of, I'm not going to go too long into this because I want to keep it positive.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It goes from the betrayal of many people who are revolutionary leaders who took charge of African countries and then once they get it, for some weird reason, a few years down the line, it just goes kaput. I mean, look at Zimbabwe and all of that. So all those people, there's a Black American saying that they're holding Black people back. I am as angry at them as I am angry at, even though I haven't been there, but now I realize how destructive it is, as I'm angry at organizations, gangsterism in the United States, how people are killing each other. Things like that are just holding each other back. But we push on.
No, but you're right, my brother. So there's a good friend of mine. His name is Corey, and he used to be a rapper, and he had this song that was talking about the death of Biggie and Tupac. Right, this is years ago, 20 years ago, and he said, even if a white man planned it, an N-word still had to do it. Right, so meaning that we could at times be participatory in our own oppression, especially when we begin to individualize our situation and only think of self, because sometimes proximity to whiteness means access to power, money, privilege, and then our cupidity and love of wealth and our love of dollars, right, will make us sellouts. And then sometimes now we don't even have to be that close to white folks. They have put in some type of mechanism that will sometimes make us self-destruct. But that's why we have people like yourself who witness it and say, man, we got to wake up. That's why we have people like, I take it upon myself to call out. I don't call out like continental Africans. I don't think that's my place. I'll call out ESCOM, but I don't call out continental Africans. I chose to move to South Africa, so I will take it with good for good and it's bad, it's beauty and it's warts. However, I will call out Black Americans because that's where I come from. I will call out African Americans. I call out the rappers for perpetuating rape culture, for embracing a culture of death and destruction and drug dealing and prison culture. I will talk about our people, my people there, or our people there, because it's not out of hatred of them. It's because I love them and I want to see us do better. I want to see us be our best and stop being victimized by the mechanism of white supremacy by proxy. If that makes any sense. So
yeah, that's very true. But yeah, in the spirit of not dwelling on such things because they are depressing.
Yeah. Well,
let us move on.
man, what I want is, I got people in the waiting room. Let me see. Admits. Yeah, there you go. I think he was having trouble last time.
I think so.
But yeah, so man, how long has load shedding been a thing? Has it been a couple of years or?
Let me see. The first time the power grid started having problems was in 2008. It wasn't even load shedding then, or at least load shedding hadn't been invented. We just had these things called rolling blackout. It used to be all across the, like we didn't know what they was until they put a schedule on these things like they do now, turning off certain places at certain times. Then it became load shedding. This was like 2008. And then I don't know how long it ran for, but then I won't lie, there has to have been a span of 5 years where we were not experiencing that. So it got fixed and the power grid. And then over the years, we keep going back into it and then everything back. It's like, I don't lie. South Africa has the potential to like navigate away from that. But hey, we're done with potential. How long have these people been in power? 20-something years. We need results.
So here's
But it seems crazy that we see so much development around us, like constant development and building, while we have a grid that can't handle what is. So it's just like, wow, how are you building at this level? And then your grid is already like stressed.
I know. So, but what you don't understand, yeah.
What I want to say is that as bad as load shedding is, Mama Vera is a lady from New Orleans. She's an elder, a real elder in New Orleans. And she used to ask us, we used to sit around and get knowledge from her, you know? And yes. she would say, what y'all gonna do when they cut the lights off? And what the question really meant was, you're not prepared to go without these modern conveniences, right? But now the question is, what y'all gonna do when they cut the lights off? And South Africa will say, everybody's getting inverters, generators, and solar power. So in the next 10 to 15 years, because the power crisis is not a South African thing, it is a worldwide phenomenon at this point. But 10 years from now, as South Africa continues to build these new developments with solar power and generators, right, for backup or whatever have you, South Africa will be prepared for when the lights go out, right? They will have the alternative means. That's the positive outlook I can spin on it. That's all the positive outlook I can.
But you know what I like about you guys coming here to South Africa?
What's that?
Can you hear me? What I like about you guys coming here to South Africa is the access to the comfortable middle to upper, I don't know. Okay, let me not put your money out there, but like the comfortable life that you're living for yourselves out here. I'm happy you can access that, because in South Africa itself, most of the generally Black populated areas are filled with people who are trying to get out of those ghettos so they can come live where you are. Now, as our compadres or compatriots who, you remember when you said you guys were frogs in hot water and you got out? You're here now. Yeah. I'm happy that you guys are in Sandton and you get to live it and enjoy all the opulence in whatever level you can access it. I'm happy that in that way, I'm happy to see a Black family prospering in that way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Because like you said, it'd be pretty hard to access this for you guys in the US. So do enjoy the country, enjoy it to the max, and raise your children.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Now you go down there. You go down. I'm glad Easy jumping. You go down there to the Hollywood, let's say the South African Hollywood films, bro, and get you a gig now, man. You belong in the film, brother. I was supposed to be seeing you play.
I cannot see myself memorizing scripts. What scripts? So many words. I'm a numbers guy. That is so many words, Dr. Asad.
It ain't that hard.
You got it.
You got it, brother. You got the voice and the look, brother. But I see my brother Easy then jumped in there because I was just about to tell Easy, you in there?
No.
Easy. You gotta connect.
Connected to audio.
Easy, you gotta connect to audio. No, one of them is connected right there. He is connected to audio. There he is. I'm done. Yeah. Easy, can you hear me?
Okay, brother. Bye-bye.
Easy.
Hey, my brother, how you doing?
Man, listen, bro. I'm coming to the red. I'm coming to this week. I'm coming to Alexander. But I ain't gonna say which week because I don't want nobody to be, but I ain't gonna say which day, but I want to meet you if you got time. There's a place called the River Park Cafe. You ever heard of that?
I was there now. I was there now. I was there. I was there in the afternoon, yes. I was there.
Oh,
the
okay.
River Park.
They say the food is the bomb.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. You know, we like our traditional food. I was having my they do have they change menu. Today it's Monday, so we're having our like lamb trotters. I like them. So yes, that's what I was having today. So menus
you
every day.
Tortoise, like a turtle.
Eh?
You what they said they was having what?
They change menu every day. So they will have different menus on a particular day. So today it's Monday. Yeah. Okay. How are you, Adrienne? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. So we do River Park when on Saturday or when? When do you want to do?
Well, I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you. You know, and let you know. It's gonna be this week. It's like Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Probably between Wednesday and Thursday. We'll do it tomorrow. I gotta go to the doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
So how you doing, brother? Everything been good?
Yeah, I'm good. There's a way we need to handle this load shedding. You know, when we were speaking about Dr. Martin Luther King, I thought about it. I was thinking about it during the day. You know, we learned those silent protests. You know, so we can, you know, some of us, you know, in LX we only had electricity in 1988. So I lived the better part of my life without it. So they brought it to us, but I don't think we're too dependent on it. So maybe some of us should, because they say, no, they are overloaded. So some of us are really willing to get off the grid, you know, to get off the system and go on with our lives, because you cannot afford to have electricity for only 2 hours. What are you going to do with 2 hours? They're going to charge you for the entire month, isn't it? So maybe there should be some of us who are saying, you know what, you can disconnect us permanently. It's fine. And then we'll see what we can do. So that's the part. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I'm not complaining though. I'm just thinking, no, that should be some of the strategies we need to employ, you know.
Yeah. In terms of getting it to finally act right. I believe that now. So I'm gonna say this right here, Easy. I need my electricity.
You're not gonna put your hand up?
With you, but I'm like, man, hey, I need this AC, man.
Gotta be completely off grid.
But you know what? That's the thing. So on the flip side of that, is an opportunity for young, like the brother Polo that was on. He says he's a numbers man. I don't know if he's in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, but it is those students at WITS, the students at the University of Johannesburg, University of Pretoria, Cape Town, all of these students, the number one goal should be fixing the energy crisis and finding alternative ways of accessing energy. All this sun in South Africa, solar panels should just be falling, and you should be walking into game and just be able to buy a solar panel and to have somebody who has know-how on how to hook it up or whatever have.
On that,
go ahead.
Trying to interrupt you, but on that note, I think we all like that idea. But I will tell you something. A few years ago, actually, there is a solution right now as we speak. It's fine. I don't want to talk about the solution but I'll tell you what happened a few years ago. Cape Town had a problem of water.
Yeah.
A young man from the University of Cape Town came up with a solution of water. You know what happened to that young man? He died mysteriously.
Oh,
he died mysteriously.
What? He died mysteriously. That's what they do in the US too. There was a brother.
Yes, here's the other one. Here's the other one. In Zimbabwe, there's a guy that came up with an idea. He came up with a TV that doesn't plug on anything. It plays. You just turn it on and it plays.
Yeah.
That guy also did a helicopter that runs with water.
He's still alive?
He was in hospital in November.
Oh.
You see?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it gets real.
A lot of money in the energy thing.
He was in hospital. I mean,
yeah, it gets real. See, the problem is when you invent something like that, you got to be quiet.
Absolutely. You got to get a very antagonistic partner. Then you can talk, you know.
Right,
someone who will antagonize these ones that are taking us on. Yeah, the last one would be, you know, there is a street called Inoxontonga.
No, okay.
If you are at Vets, you have to go to the South Campus. You go over a bridge.
Okay, yeah.
That is Inoxontonga. Who is Inoxontonga? Inoxontonga is the guy that came up with the Nkosi Sikelel national anthem.
Okay.
It's not only the South African national anthem, but it's an African national anthem because even other countries sing it. I think in not Kenya, Tanzania, yes, they do. They do sing it in full. So what we are doing here as the national anthem is an abridged or a smaller version of what it is, because it's a compromised version, because our national anthem it's very accommodating, you know, it's taking everyone into consideration. But the real national anthem is that one of Inoxontonga. I think I should get it for you, or maybe send you a YouTube link where Miriam Makeba, Black Mambazo, Yuma Sekela, and others are singing that national anthem as it was. So that's the real. So Inoxontonga is the guy. So when you see a root written Inoxontonga, remember the national anthem.
Okay.
I'm done. I think
Easy. I'm gonna send you a text. I'm gonna send you a WhatsApp, and we gonna link up for either Wednesday or Thursday.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Thursday, I'm not available. I have to be in the West End. So it's either Wednesday or Friday. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I'll send you a text.
All right, Baba. Thanks.
All right,
cheers, guys. Hey, my regards to the young guys. Man. We enjoy those young guys. Eh? Aiden, we like him. He's our
He's somewhere on the computer right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
So somebody asked a question in here. They said, is slavery and Jim Crow the same? No. Slavery was slavery. That's that's still easy. Slavery is slavery. It's people working for free, right? Free labor. Jim Crow is the American version of apartheid. Really, apartheid is the American version of Jim Crow, because the South African apartheid architects studied racial segregation in the United States and said, I think we should do that here. Brilliant idea. And they brought it to South Africa. So that's what Jim Crow. And Jim Crow comes from a minstrel character from and if y'all know minstrel shows, because they actually have them in Cape Town. But it comes from a minstrel show, and the name of the guy, there was a character named Jim Crow. And so somebody said there's rolling blackouts are also in California. That's what I'm saying. There's an energy crisis all around the world. I just heard they might have to dim the lights every so often on the Eiffel Tower in Paris because of the energy crisis. So somebody said Nelson Mandela is not a sellout. Understood that it's not a sellout. He understood that Black South Africans had no experience in running the country. Hence, he wanted whites to stay and keep some of them in government so that we could learn. Like I said, I don't get involved. I may have my opinion, and if we were on a one-on-one, I would talk with y'all about that. But I think this person's shepherd is responding to somebody else in the comments. So let's go back because we missed a few comments. Tata means father. Tata is kosa for father. Somebody else there?
I think someone else
Oh.
on with us. No?
Latabo. Can you hear us, brother or sister?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Boy, you sound like Josie. Yeah, you sound like Josie Gold.
No, far from it, but I've been in a few chats with him, so I guess we do have a similar voice.
Yeah. I was like, Josie? Josie trying to switch up on us, man. You and Josie don't be on the camera though. Y'all really was like, there you go.
Hey,
all right.
No, it's the third look. It's the third look. Well, just got back from work not so long ago.
Like the brother Polo looked like he belonged in the movies. Boy, you look like you from my city, man. You look like a New Orleanian with the dreadlocks in your head, because everybody in my city got dreadlocks.
Yeah, you look the Mawining look, right?
Similar, yeah, all right.
And all that. Yeah, but how are you, brother Asad, sister Adrienne? How are you guys?
Man, we are blessed, brother. We're doing good. Doing good in this wonderful country.
Yeah, I'm great. So going back to the Jim Crow thing, I think it was a great segue into what I wanted to talk about, right? I left a comment in there talking about how I think we need to go back to discussing family structures and the differences between, African Americans, the diaspora, and of course, Africans on the continent, right? Reason why I think I highlighted that after the person obviously asked you about how your marriage is going and all that is because with the Black Panthers, I think they attacked the family in order to break them apart, right? And I think with families being attacked, and which is still obviously a strategy being used today, I think that if we go back to discussing those things and understanding how our separation has created different structures of family, I think that in doing that we can start a greater conversation, because we need to also go back to the basics, right? As beautiful as it is to talk about politics and all of that, but not understanding the family structures and how they work can be detrimental to our society at the end of the day. So,
absolutely. No, brother, you on to something. You definitely on to something, brother.
Because what do you think about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I look at, like, right now, I think the South African, great, somebody else entered. I think the South African family structure, or let me say the continental African family structure, is still intact. There's still a where even though there's some degradation and some breaking down right now, but the father is still present for most parts. There's still a high value placed on fatherhood, and that traditional I guess we can get into talking about patriarchy or whatever heck. But I think okay. But as it relates to what happened in the United States, if I were to compare it, our parents and their generation were much more aligned with the African kind of continental structure of family, right? Your grandmother stayed in the house with you. Black people didn't put our grandparents in homes. That was something that our white brothers and sisters did. When they got old, they just moved into a room in our house. We took care of them. We had a high respect for our grandmothers and our grandfathers. Fathers played a very important role. If you listen to my mom talk, you listen to her mom and dad talk, you listen to my dad talk, you hear these people talk about how my daddy did this. Daddy was the important person. And nothing is wrong with women being in charge and being important. So I'm trying to tread lightly, right? But somewhere along the line, probably around 1970 or so, we started seeing a shift in the Black community from these male-headed households to female-dominant households. And now for the last 30 years, easily, 60 to 75% of Black households are led by a single mother, right? Or a single parent, mainly a single mother. And that is problematic, right? So we have a lot of sisters who don't know how to interact with men because they haven't had that interaction with a father. And then we have a lot of boys who don't know how to express manhood besides through ways that are very toxic, like we grow up watching rappers and we see that as manhood. That's our version of manhood, right? And so then we begin to express masculinity through those very toxic memes. So I always tell people, if you want to know what Black manhood was like, and go listen to some OJs. The OJs in the 70s had such a spectrum of masculinity. They sang about, last night, me and my woman, we cried together. That's, that's powerful. It's powerful in its vulnerability, right? And then, they just had love songs. I'm gonna take you to the stairway. They even had a song called Family Reunion when they actually broke down the role of the father, the role of the mother, the role of the brother and the sister, and the grandparents or whatever have you. So, but with that being said, even with all of our breakdown in the United States, family is still important to Black folk. We have family reunions. We love them because there's always a chance to barbecue and drink some Corona and and get together. We still have that connection. It's still there. Just right now, it's in a little bit of a chaos. It's a little bit of a chaos. And I do think that you're right. There are some things that we can look to the continent to kind of help reestablish what we once had, because it's not too far off. Like I said, my grandmother, grandfather, all of these people are traditionalists, to this day, in my family in particular, in her family, her grandmother is 95.
96.
Her grandmother is 96 years old. She lives with her aunt. You see what I'm saying? She lives with her aunt. That's kind of keeping that family structure together, the respect for the elders, whatever. But here's another thing that I think Black people in America could learn, and they are learning because you hear a lot more Black folks talk about it, is respect for the ancestors. When I was growing up, talking about the ancestors was forbidden. Like, we don't do the ancestors. That's that voodoo. That's the straight thing. The first thing that someone says, that's that voodoo stuff, right? And it's not until you realize, I see you, Brother Easy. It's not until you realize that white folks do all kind of veneration of their ancestors. The Catholic Church has all of these saints. That's veneration of ancestors. You see what I'm saying? But so I think now you see a lot more Black people in America talking about the ancestors and, using them as conduits. Now, as Muslims, we have, there is our religion doesn't really support that ideology. But as a Black person, I understand it, and I think it's part of us culturally. So
not a worship.
Not a worship.
Which I don't know that is all a
worship
necessarily. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just, so the religions that we have taken on in the United States, Islam and Christianity, the main two, have complicated our understanding of like ancestor relations. Yeah, it's complicated, so, and it's hard for me to say, well, I'm gonna abandon this to go to this. I've been Muslim far too long, and I'm just getting in the stride. It's easy now.
So can I quickly interject there? So I think another thing that we could bridge, let me actually rephrase that. I think the easiest way to start teaching African languages to the diaspora is by starting with names of people within the family structure, right? Because now in English, an uncle is an uncle, but in my language, my uncle from my dad's side of the family has more, his name is more masculine than my uncle on my father's side of the family, right? So we call them different things. And the reason why we call them different things is because if one of the parent dies, the person has to assume the role of the parent who passed on, right? So if my mother dies and the only people I have from her side, it's uncles, that uncle will have to relate to me through their feminine qualities, you know? So I'll make an example, which of course over time has kind of been lost in the evolution of our people, right? And even though it's lost, this is why I also appreciate when they say that the African history is actually oral, you know? Growing up, when I learned about that in school, I thought, that's dumb. Why would you not want to write anything down, you know? And then this past December, I went to my grandmother's birthday, and she was basically singing clan praises, you know, naming everybody. So our clan names, it's sort of like a poem that goes over drums, usually, depending on the ceremony. And then you will have somebody singing clan names. And in those names, it's your entire lineage, basically. It's just a poem. It's like 2 to like 5 minute poem. But I know everybody in that poem all the way back to the 1200s, you know?
Wow.
And then, and then now, so I've got uncles, right? On my dad's side of the family, we use the name Ramukhulu, which means the elder father, and then it's Ra, which is my father, and then it's Rangwane, which is the younger father, right? So now if my dad passes on, my uncle who's older than him is now responsible for me, you know? In other Bantu cultures, it would go as far as, you know, when you read the Bible, there is, who is this? Judah. His son passes on, and then he promises the son's wife that he's gonna give him one of his sons as well when the son grows up, and then ends up obviously sinning by sleeping with the lady who disguised as a prostitute and what so forth, right? So you still, in some cultures, you still have such things happening to where if my father passes on, then my uncle who's older than him would have to take my mother as a second wife, right? That does not mean second wife in the sense that they may be sexually active with each other, but it's more so it's now a responsibility for him to be a father to me. If he passes on, then his younger brother would have to do the same thing, so that you keep the structure intact, and you still have a male figure to look up to, right? In the same sense with my mother, it's the same thing. You've got an elder mother, you've got a younger mother, and these people have responsibilities. It's a similar thing, right? If she has brothers, then my uncle would then, even though obviously he's not gonna marry because it's a conservative society, right? But he would still have to do certain things that my mother was doing to compensate for the feminine aspect of the family having been lost, you know? So I think the greatest gift that our ancestors and the people before us gave us is language. Because in our languages, there are so many nuances that are there that we don't realize, even though we speak these languages every day, until you sit back and you think about it. And it's like, in English, it's an uncle. Whether it's from my dad's side or my mother's side, it's an uncle, you know? But in my language, it's more structured, you know? Even how you name people. You can't, like, if you have a first son, you can't just name them Junior. You know, you're gonna have to start by naming your first son after maybe your grandfather, so that they have a name that is within the context of these clan praises, you know? And then that name obviously would have to carry the ancestral lineage and the ancestral power. The son that you are gonna name after yourself is probably gonna be your fifth or your sixth son. So you have actually no right to do that until a certain point in time. But like all your children are going to have to be named after elders first before they are named after you.
Yeah.
You know, so
let me
yeah.
Let me jump in, brother man, because you said so much, brother. Oh man, so much, and it's powerful in many ways. So going back to what you said about your grandmother and the oral tradition and memorizing all of those things. First of all, I'm jealous because as Black Americans, we can only go back so far, right? Only a couple of generations before we run into no paperwork, nothing, just slavery.
Yeah.
But I also thought about how we say that Islam, as Muslims, we say that Islam is not a religion, it is a way of life. So, first of all, orally, the reason why the Quran was preserved is because people memorized the entire book orally in their brain. So it's written down, but you have people who know the entire book. And we can get into the African origins of Islam another time, but I did write a book about it. But furthermore, I think when we talk about Islam being a way of life, and you mentioned if you're married and you die, your brother would, I guess, essentially take care of your child, right? Or maybe take on a wife. So Islamically, Muslims are said to be able to have 4 wives. And it wasn't for hedonism and sexual appetite. It was because during the time that Islam was spreading, a lot of Muslims were going to war. A lot of Muslims were dying. And when a Muslim would die, women were not working. So his wife would be left without a caregiver. His family would be left without a caregiver. So then if that's my brother, if that's my partner, my friend, or whatever have you, and he died at war, it now becomes my responsibility to take care of his family. So I take his wife as my wife in terms of responsibility. But it doesn't mean that they won't end up, consummating the marriage. And in the United States, it's a lot more, it's there, but it's unofficial. Like my friends, if something were to happen to me, they may not adopt, they married, right? They may not adopt my children, but they're going to look out. That's what we would say. You're going to look out. Make sure that my children have what they need. Make sure that my wife is not suffering financially or whatever have you. They're going to be, hey, look, man, send Adrienne a couple of dollars every month to help with the kids, to help with the bills. Oh, it's Christmas. We don't celebrate Christmas, but typically, it's Christmas time. Make sure Austin and Aiden get something for Christmas because Asad is gone. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely not as detailed as what you described, but there's this unofficial type of family stuff that takes place, right? And it was something else. The names. So my government name, and I don't usually give it out, is Lionel King. That's my government. That's the name I was born with. That is my father's name, right? That is my son's name. And the reason why is because we have to reestablish naming traditions in the Black community, in the African American community. So just by my son knowing his name, he knows his grandfather's name. You see what I'm saying? And his middle name is Austin, which is my grandfather's name. So now he doesn't just know his grandfather's name, he knows my grandfather's name just by knowing his own name. My paternal grandfather, his name was Ori King, Oreeking, right? Ori King. I have a cousin who's Ori King the fourth, so he knows. You see what I'm saying? It's 4 of us, so we have to have those traditions. We have to reestablish those traditions because they were lost from us. So we are creating these hybrids of European, Western style patriarchy, and creating these new African American traditions and naming styles or whatever have you, to kind of, and in many ways it keeps as we talked about ancestor veneration or ancestor honoring. Well, that's also our way of honoring our ancestors, right? I gave my son my grandfather's name because we honor my grandfather, and I wanted his name to carry on. So when someone asks my child, well, why is your name Austin? Because my great grandfather was named Austin, and
Yeah.
He, and so in my family, on my maternal side, because that's my maternal grandfather, that name Austin is everywhere. My son is not the only one. It's a whole bunch of Austins because they all, like all the cousins, name their children. I have cousins named Austin. I have the second cousins named Austin. They kept the name alive in a way of honoring our grandfather. So it was very, very interesting. Yeah, so we don't have as detailed stuff, but I want to say this before we continue. A brother named Starworth said he's leaving out of New Orleans. I saw that. A brother named Starworth said he's leaving out of New Orleans and he will be in Joburg on Thursday. Did he say that?
I'm not sure. Soon though.
Yeah, I want to make sure I shout that brother. Yeah, there he is. There he is. I see it. Wait, God damn it. Where he at? I just want to make sure I shout this brother out. Okay. Yeah, he said he'll be leaving out of MSY on Thursday and arriving on Joburg Friday night. Brother Starworth, check. Uh-oh. Email me, brother. AsadElMalik@gmail.com, man. Hit me up and we'll link up, man. I don't know if you from New Orleans or just flying out of New Orleans, but either way, if you touch down in my city, you're part of me now. So but yeah, brother, man, thank you for coming. Say your name for me again, brother.
Oh, it's Letabo.
Letabo?
You guys said it right the first time.
Hi, brother Asad and Letabo.
Yeah. Can I say a few closing thoughts?
Now, this brother Malcolm, huh? Now, what's your name, brother?
Yeah.
Martin, I don't know what this computer just changed my name to Greg. I don't understand.
Greg.
Yeah.
I know brother EB is back on here too, right?
Yeah. What Letabo was saying is 100% correct. Like I caught the conversation in the middle, but like when he was talking about like we like naming people in our culture is like is very important. Like I'm the firstborn to between my mother and father had me first. So like I was supposed to be named after my great grandfather, but because they were not married, that didn't happen. And then when my mom passed away, and that's when they said they're going to actually marry the kids. So they like my mother has passed away, whatever, but like now they have to take the responsibility of like, these are our children, and then they were not married, but now we have to go back and fix this because of like the ancestors apparently were not happy with what was going on because of like we were using my mother's surname and it was not cool, it was not okay with the ancestors. So now my father had to marry us. He had to go and pay lobola for us, even though my mother is not there anymore. So what Letabo is saying is 100% correct because of like I remember I was told these stories. My uncle, which is like Ramhul Letabo, you understand, is older to my father.
Your father.
Yeah. So he couldn't get a wife. I don't know what was happening there. So they had to go through like a generation of like cousins and whatever and find him a wife there. So so like you understand what I'm saying, Letabo, right? So like yeah. So they had to, but then they had to go to a family and say like the relatives and say like, you see this person doesn't have a wife, doesn't have whatever, but we want great grandchildren and grandchildren. So like, what if these two get married? So it's insane how our culture works. Letabo, now I'm Ndebele. I'm Mahlangu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
can I interject actually right there? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm Pedi. Ne?
Oh, you're Pedi. I don't know. You're part of us. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I'm Pedi only until you say my clan names. Then you realize that through lineage I'm Ndebele. You know?
Yeah, and I know that because like I'm Pedi too, but I'm Ndebele. Because of like my grandmother is from Korinamuneng, ZB. and my grandfather is from Kwandebele Ramashang. So that's how it's.
I got a question. Are clan names like associated? Because you said your grandmother's from. I couldn't understand, but you said she's from. So are clan names associated with like geography? I'm from here, so that's why I have this clan name.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I answer that if you don't mind?
Go ahead, brother.
So, okay, no, go ahead. I'll answer as soon as you finish your train of thought. Sorry.
All I was saying that like in New Orleans we have something similar. Like I know New Orleans names, right? That we don't call them clans or nothing, but we know if I hear somebody's name, I'm like, you from New Orleans, or your mama's from New Orleans, or your grandmama's from New Orleans. We can hear those names, and it's partially because it's not too many black folk running around the United States with like French names. So
no, it's kind of similar. You're right.
Yeah,
it's kind of similar. You're right.
No, like you from here, boy. You from, but I don't know if every other city in the United States. New Orleans is different, and I always say that. But I don't know if every other city in the United States can do that. But we can do that. Like if I hear someone named Police, y'all know the singer Lloyd from back in the day, Lloyd, right? So Lloyd's people, his last name is Polite. That's his real last name. That's a New Orleans name, and he represents Georgia, right? Because that's where he grew up. But his mom, he was born in New Orleans, and his mom is a New Orleanian. Like, so we could hear the name and be like, "Oh, that boy from my city," you know. So, but anyway, go ahead.
It's same with us. It's like Letabo. Letabo is like I can give you an example about Letabo. Letabo is like it can be Pedi, it can be Tswana, it can be Sotho. So like as soon as you hear Letabo, you know maybe he's from Limpopo, maybe he's from Northwest or Free State. Am I right, Letabo?
Sure, but I'd like to actually answer the question in relation to clan names particularly, right?
All right.
So with this poem, actually going back to you saying that you're a bit jealous that we had that, right?
Yeah.
If you really think about this poem, because essentially the term rap means rhythm and poetry, right? So that's exactly how it's structured. It's rhythm and poetry. So it's a poem on top of drums, right? And basically it's kind of like you spitting bars. You know, when you go back to Triumph by Wu-Tang, right? You've got the first verse with, who's this? Inspector Deck, atomically, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define how I be rocking these mockeries, right?
Yeah.
So he's defining himself through this philosopher named Socrates, and he's defining his actions in that structure. You know what I'm saying? So in the same way, that is exactly how our clan names are structured. So it's gonna be and then it's gonna tell you and then it's gonna tell you Babina Chipienzo. So Babina Chipienzo means the black metal dancers, right? So when it says the black metal dancer, you already know that there was a war going on, you know? And that war happened in this area called Molechi, because that's where we ended up because of this war. You know what I'm saying? And then it basically gives you the names of the people who participated in this thing, and it gives you, it later on tells you that these people were sharing. If they killed a cow, they would share the meat with the community, with the people who are in need, and all of those things. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it gives you an entire story and an entire history, and all you have to do is break it down and look for these names, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, some of them, they get lost in translation as we grow, but obviously with certain things being in recorded history, because you know who your forefathers were following when they were going to a certain place, then you follow that particular person's history, and you're gonna know how you basically got to where you are now. You know,
boy, that is fascinating. Wow.
Right.
Wow,
So
bro.
now,
I need you to send me an
Brother
email, brother.
Lutalo.
I want to sit down and learn more of this stuff, brother. Because it's part of my little research that I like.
Yeah. Brother Lutalo.
So look, sorry, brother, before
right.
you ask the question. So the reason why I actually used rap in this context was because I heard KRS One speaking on some video, and he was talking about how they got to get the UN to basically approve rap as a culture, right? And I think that African Americans do a lot of things that are African without realizing. You know, it's like, yes, of course, through the 10% use of the conscious mind, everything that happened to you seems like it erased your entire history. But that other 90% behavior still has subconscious things that you guys do that are related to the African continent. You know what I'm saying? So I've always, like, the more I fell in love with rap, the more I listen to rap, it's like you've got these guys referencing, whether it's mafioso, mafias or all, but they always referencing movie characters that are boss, you know, they're always referencing certain people. It's like there's a need there. There's a need to basically say my grandfather, but because I don't know what my great grandfather did, I'm gonna replace that with Socrates because he's revered as a philosopher.
Wow. Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I've always seen hip hop as like these references as placeholders for like clan names type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like this is who I'm basically structuring myself after. I'm carving my life after this person, so I'm gonna rap about it. You know?
And that's probably why in rap music your city becomes such an important part of your identity, if that makes any
100.
sense, right? So I have to rep, well, you know, I have to rep New Orleans as hard as possible because it's part of our identity. So yeah, brother, you on the part, man? Go ahead, brother.
Right. So
go ahead.
what I will leave you with before I answer the brother is this. So in relation to ancestors, when we basically in our cultures, there's a few things, right? So say, for example, my father left me, right? So, and then I was raised by my mother. Obviously, on my mother's side, I've got the ancestors from that lineage that basically we maybe make sacrifices to and all of that, right? The ironic thing about when you go back to the character Killmonger, when he says, it's a famous quote, everybody says this, that I would rather die with my ancestors who jumped into the waters than, you know, reach my destination, something to that context, right? So when you're an orphan in our culture, they tell you that you are a child of the waters. So you are protected by the waters, right?
Yeah.
All the ancestors of the waters, whether it's those who jumped over because of slave ships, or it's those who died in the water because maybe they were swimming, or perhaps maybe there are clans that use water animals as their totems and all of that. All those ancestors who belong to the waters are basically your protectors because your body is 80% water, right? And therefore, because of that, whatever spirit is within the water would therefore qualify as basically the people you go to for consultation and things like that. You know, so it's so much that I think that we need to start talking about and start, you know, bridging the gap regarding, because it may sound foreign to you, but for me, especially as a big hip hop fan, there's a lot of things that I've seen African Americans doing. I'm like, this is actually what, you know what I'm saying? You may not realize it, but this is actually very much rooted within Bantu culture specifically. I don't know about West African culture and other cultures, but in terms of Bantu cultures, I see a lot of correlation because of such things.
Man,
okay,
absolutely.
I said a mouthful, but
oh,
yeah.
You definitely did, but it was worth every bit. It was worth every word, brother. Absolutely, man. Please reach out to me via email, bro, because I would like to continue that conversation, man. I got questions, and I'd like to know more about these structures and these clan names and all of that type of stuff, man. I mean, it's very, very interesting, and I would like to see where I could draw the parallels myself between the practices and the stuff that I know about the African American community, man.
Brother Tabo.
Yes, brother.
I think you and I, and some other people, we actually owe a lot of brothers, like they need to know our story, especially our African American brothers, because our stories, some of the stories are never been told, like stories are Hoshimujaji, the Rain Queen, as like we know it partially, but like they need to know these things. They need to know like this happened. You get it's because of like most of our stories. I spoke to Brother Asad, like I think it was Saturday or Sunday. It's like we not telling our stories enough, and then like our brothers actually our brothers will never actually get to understand us if they actually know the stories, because like there are so many books written by petty people, by undeveloped people, by whoever, but like you'll never go to a bookshop and find that book,
so crazy.
It's like what I'm saying is our brothers and sisters from abroad need to hear the stories, need to know who these people are, and then that's how they're going to understand the culture and where we come from, because like we've got so many stories, but I can give you an example. The only story they know from South Africa is Shaka Zulu.
Yeah, we know Shaka.
Yeah, they know Shaka Zulu, but if you can ask Brother Asad, does he know Hoshimujaji?
Nope. I don't.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy with what you're saying, right? The funny part about it is that other people are gonna tell our story,
Exactly.
Because when you look at the Marvel character Storm, who the character was obviously done by Halle Berry, right?
Yes.
Storm is actually a character that Stan Lee modeled after Queen Mujaji, the Rain Queen.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so
I get it now.
Now you've got other people telling our story as fiction, and we know that it was basically modeled after our queen type thing,
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's gonna be crazy if we tell Brother Asad this story. She was called the Rain Queen. When she wanted it to rain, she would make it rain.
Now, make it rain means something else in my vocabulary.
No, rain. Literally rain. She will make it rain. She will go out there and like pray, and then it will rain when she wants to.
Hey, listen. So watch this. If y'all, I will see if I can post it. So there was a brother, so we have New Orleans has its own culture, and somebody said Beyonce people from New Orleans. That's right, her people from the city. But we have this thing called a second line, which is a street parade, right? And it was raining 2 Sundays ago, and this brother started to sing. He started to sing a church song, and his voice was so beautiful and so powerful. It stopped raining. Now people say, "Well, it just stopped raining," but we attribute that because we are a spiritual people, period, as African people and as Black New Orleanians for sure. I just want y'all to see it because it's so crazy. He starts the video and it's raining, and people are, you know, kind of downtrodden because they're ready to have this street parade. It's our cultural tradition. And he starts this song, it's so beautiful, and it stopped the rain. So I don't know if we can attribute that to him.
You think it's crazy song?
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience to see. But
yo, brother Asad, I gotta exit.
Okay, all right. Please shoot me an email, brother.
All right, will do.
Okay,
right,
peace.
We got Easy and Kenneth on. Easy and Kenneth.
All right.
Kenneth, Easy.
I think their mics are off.
Yeah, let me see if I can ask them to unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, somebody.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, Easy's back. Oh, Easy and Kenneth. Okay.
Hi, Easy.
Hey, how are you,
Easy,
man?
you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Uratile. Is it Uratile?
I think
The gentleman here? Uratile. Litabo. Is it
yeah, Litabo is
you?
gone.
I can't read you. Hey, I need glasses these days.
Pardon?
I can't read your name anymore.
Oh, it's written great. My name is Martin or Ikanying.
Oh, Martin. Let me use Martin, brother. How are you, my brother?
Cool. I'm greeting you, brother.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you were saying, Asad, I'm here. I think I missed.
Yeah, I know you jumped back on. I know you jumped back on. So I was just saying what you had to say. If not, they got brother Kenneth. Kenneth jumped on. I want to hear what that brother got to say. Is he still on here?
Everyone, yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here.
All right, what's going on, brother Kenneth?
So yeah, I happened to catch the live and had Brother Letabo speaking about like the family structures, especially in the Bantu like lineages. I felt it was an interesting topic, and I wanted to make a bit of a contribution towards it. So firstly, interestingly, with the ancestor conversation, right? I'm also Pedi, which is also, I think, the Tabo is Pedi. So in Pedi ancestors, right, how someone becomes an ancestor basically is through their characters that perhaps they showed out back then. Because if you think about it, there are a lot of family members who passed on before our generations, but not all of them gets to perhaps be ancestors, right? So what qualifies them to be ancestors, right? And which also I think ties into the praise names, where now in the praise names, all these names that are tied in the praise names and the story of our lineages and where we come from, right, is because of like the characters that the past generation perhaps possessed. For example, if they were a fighter, or if perhaps they cared, or if they had like kindness or something like that, it's something that perhaps qualifies them to get into the poem, right? When now every time where you sing the poem, perhaps it's you kind of perhaps how do you call it? Assuming that character, so that perhaps the struggles that we're facing, because the struggles that we're facing are similar struggles that the past generation faced, and the way we document it in like our African cultures is through word of mouth, hence like the praise. And it's something that is worrying, because this culture of praise names and knowing our praise names is getting lost. And in that manner, we're also losing our identity and our generational history in terms of where we come from. So yeah, but just to summarize, like what I wanted to highlight is the fact that like the character of like our past generational family members plays a big role in terms of like qualifying them, or the names going into the clan names.
Okay. Okay. Man, all of this stuff, I'm reading the comments and everybody's like, I'll sleep later. This conversation is too interesting. You know, it is. And what I'm thinking now in my head is that somebody said I should do a podcast. YouTube, as far as I go, I don't know what's the difference between a podcast and doing this YouTube, but what we can do is definitely dedicate some time to like a South African like cultural episodes every now and then, like, you know, where somebody can come on and teach us interesting and new things about or interesting things about the South African culture so that we can understand. I mean, shoot, that is my profession and my academic discipline, so I should know more. And somebody mentioned and said African Americans definitely do have a culture. We do have a culture. So it's so we lost a lot of, and as the brother mentioned, you know, some of it's still written in our epigenetics, right? It's still written in our subconscious, like that African, that continental African culture. And then we created a new culture with those same with that subconscious present. We created something new in the Americas in the confines of that context, right? And y'all always hear me talk about my hometown because New Orleans, they will tell you, is probably the most distinct cultural city in the United States. We do things vastly differently than the rest of United States and the rest of Black America. Although we are definitely Black Americans, intimately tied to Black Americans. New Orleans just created its own culture because it's a crazy mix of French, African, Native American, and just a whole Cuban, all kind of stuff, Haitians, all kind of stuff just mixed together to create this kind of new culture. So somebody in the thing, South Creation, said, tell them about buck jumping. Buck jumping comes from West Africa. And it's something that we do. When I talk about the parades, they were trying to do a street parade. Buck jumping, the dance itself, it's a dance of jubilee, a dance of jubilation is how you say it, jubilation,
Yeah.
right? And it was a dance celebrated by the enslaved African. So we do that dance every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So we have kept a lot of these. But you know, when you ask somebody from New Orleans about the culture, they'll say, no, it's New Orleans culture. So they don't know the history that brought that culture, the African influence, the Cuban influence, the Haitian influence that came together in New Orleans to help create this very unique and different place and these cultural expressions. But I would love to like just have this conversation and learn more about what's taking place in South Africa and these developments so that we can find intersection, so that I can find intersection and quench my own intellectual curiosity and find intersection and say, yo, they do that. Like the brother pointed out, using here, we was talking about the hip hop. Okay, so he said like, I'm trying to paraphrase it, but basically, Wu-Tang's song, I forget the name of the song, when he comes in, he's like, you know, I spit Socrates, blah, 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 blah. Like he drew on Socrates. He says, so basically African Americans, since they don't know those ancestors, they have begun to replace the ancestors with like people that they see who are powerful. So the mafioso, you know, the Socrates, a great Western thinker or whatever have you. So, Easy, brother, Easy, handle your business. Say what you got to say.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to say. I think you said something. You just said something very powerful that I wanted to try and give the similarities. You see, when we are busy calling up our clan names, we call our clan names usually during an occasion. It's either a wedding or a party or a funeral where we lament. In a funeral session, we actually lament. But in essence, what is the point of doing that? As you do that, you are actually calling up your ancestors so that they should be part of whatever is taking place at that point in time. So I think for me, the jubilation strikes me as such. It sounds like it's something that you call upon whoever you call upon with the jubilation and you the supernatural or the non-physical become part of whatever is happening there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned something, and here's a big cultural difference. New Orleanians mourn and celebrate death. So mourning is only a part of somebody dies, you mourn momentarily, and then there is a celebration. Now, what we're typically celebrating is that the person, so the song is a Christian song. I'll fly away, oh Gloria, fly away. So when that song starts to play, the people begin to celebrate. And if you ever look up New Orleans on YouTube, New Orleans second line funeral or New Orleans jazz funeral, that's like the white people version. But the New Orleans second line funeral is really what it's called, a second line funeral. And you'll see that we dance in the streets with our caskets and we celebrate the person's death.
I think I saw a movie.
We celebrate their life and the fact that they are going on. They are in a better place. So in our minds, they should be mourning us, and we're celebrating the fact that they made it home, that they flew away.
Brother,
I think I saw a movie, just to add, I think I saw a movie, James Bond movie, Live and Let Die or something like that, with Roger. There's a movie that starts like that, where there's a funeral procession. And then as that funeral goes, somewhere in front, these people are dancing. I was like, how does it work? You know,
So we dance on the casket too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in some people's mind, it seems disrespectful, but that's not what it means. It's like we're dancing with our ancestor. He's now an ancestor. You know, he's our partner. So we're now dancing with him. We're celebrating his death. It sounds so bad when we say celebrating his death, but we're celebrating the fact that he is going on to a better place. And some of these people we don't know necessarily.
Brother Izzy,
they made it to a better place.
I have a question.
So that's why, that's why we actually lament, because we are trying we lamenting because we are trying. I don't know English that much, but this is what we are trying to do to make this person meet up with our ancestors.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we call up all those that were before us, and then using our clan names so that they reconnect again. Because this is what we believe. Even our kids are our ancestors. So I see someone that lived before me with my kid. I'll give you an example. My son, my second son, behaves exactly like my grandfather, my mother, exactly. Mannerism and everything else. So much that I had to name him. I had given him a name, but I had to now name him with my grandfather's name.
Wow.
Because the mannerism.
Yeah. I look at my baby boy Aiden. He reminds me of not in many respects. I don't remember my grandfather that much, but he looks like my grandfather to me in many ways. But go ahead, what you say, baby?
So I have a question. A lot of people said, or I heard this over that there was like people were losing these traditions or losing this connection. And so why do you think that is? I'm interested in why you think younger people are losing connection with these traditions.
Can I answer it? Or brother, if you want to go?
Let me maybe add a little bit of what has happened and what is busy happening, what has been happening. This is what has been happening. There has been so much Eurocentric influence that they were rubbishing our way of things. And unfortunately, this is what is happening. You can do that and feel very English, but at some point, because you are black and strong, those things catch up with you because you ignore them. It's like you're trying to ignore your parents or the people that live before you. They will at some point they will show you that no, it's fine. It's fine. You can go ahead, but you're gonna see also, hey, I think I've messed up. And then usually that's why you find a lot of people getting back to their old ways and getting someone to guide them again, to say, look, this is who we are. This is how we live.
Mhm.
And then, life humbles them usually. Yes.
Brother E.
Yeah,
Brother
yeah, Martin.
Like just out of context, like are you Zulu, Pedi, or whatever? Because like I just wanted to actually like give you a figure of speech that our ancestors gave us.
Okay, I'm actually a Zulu blood.
All right,
but I'm using a Tonga
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in Pedi, they say I don't know how to put this in Zulu. I just wanted to put it in a way that you
can
understand.
Put it in Pedi, I'm gonna understand. My mother is Pedi.
Yeah. Oh, your brother is Pedi. Okay, cool.
Mother.
What it actually means is that we just send our kids to these expensive things, to these expensive schools, and they come back home, they speak English. And then when they are in the home, we don't teach them. It's like, this is what it is. As long as they come back and then they speak English, we're good with that. But in our homes, we don't teach them, this is what happened. This is what's going on. This is how you have to greet your elders. This is what you have to do. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one other thing is, we're not different with African Americans. And then because of like the first thing that we value is family. That's the biggest thing. It's like my cousin, I don't remember, I've got cousins, but like the ones that are younger than me call me Abuti. Abuti means a big brother. And the ones that are older than me, I call them big brother. I cannot call them by their names. You can't, in my culture, you can't call anybody by their name. It's forbidden. It's either when they're older than you, they're your brother, they're older, you are older brother, which is like, it's cultural. It's Abuti. It's called Abuti. It's older brother. And then it's gonna be,
you're maintaining a proper decorum and protocol. That is very important, to maintain those two and run them accordingly. And then in that way, these things get easily passed from generation to generation. We also do the same from where I come from my family. We do the same. You don't call someone with his name.
No, you don't.
You have to put a prefix.
A prefix before that. It's like Abuti Maman or Budban. Yes.
Put some respect on that name.
You have to put some respect on it. Yeah. You cannot just like Brother Asad. I don't know how old you are, like, but like I cannot call you even now as like we're sitting here. I cannot call you by your name. It's
that way. No, we don't do that.
We don't do that. It's very disrespectful. It's like it's either she's my sister or depending on who's older. You get what I mean? Yeah.
So,
but like you cannot just
in the Black community in the United States, the African American community, you used to see that with the older. So you still see it with older people. Like anybody that was, we'll say, have home training. Anybody that has home training, you know, when you see older people, it's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You never greet her by her first name. It's always Miss Jackson or Sister Jackson.
And so I saw that in the movies. They don't call people by their names. Like African Americans, they don't call people by their name.
It's sister somebody, brother somebody. And I love it because if I don't remember your name, I just like, what's up, brother? How you doing? You know what I'm saying?
It helps. It helps.
Yeah. So somebody asks a question. I want to
this reminds me.
Easy before you jump in, I want to say that my brother Sandilli is on. And I forgot he was on, so I want to give him an opportunity. And then, but so Easy, you go ahead, but I just want to let Sandilli know that I do see and recognize that he's here so that he can jump on.
Yeah, just I'm gonna pass this one quickly. This reminds me of when I was a very young man. I think I was a little boy. I was a teenager. I must have been 11, 12-ish. and my father is we're going to a soccer game, but my father has to go to work first on the Saturdays to do overtime. I'm at his work, and then I'm assisting him somehow. Now, his boss also came with his son. Now, this son calls my father with his name straight. I was like, yo, that thing disturbed me. You see, I can remember it today because I thought, how can this kid call my father with his name straight? I couldn't believe it. Like, I was shocked. But yeah, with growth, I got to know, oh, this is how these people behave. We don't do that.
Yeah, they don't have the same like I don't know if y'all have ever seen that that clip of Dr. Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, obviously a famous African American poet.
Yes,
and
yes.
There was I don't know if she was on Oprah. I don't know. She was on somebody's TV show, and somebody was asking her a question, and they said Maya, and she said, "Whoa, I've lived too long and had too much life experience. We're not on the same level. You do not call me by my first name." You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But brother Sandile.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Great
Boy,
you, brother.
Man, where are you, man? They interrogating you, brother. You need us to come liberate you, man. Where you at?
Nonsense over there.
I'm at work I'm at work. So come and liberate me.
Oh, that's a picture. That's not real. That's a picture. Oh,
Put it on video, Put it on video. I'm at work as well.
No.
Come break you out.
I see the light.
They got him. They got him.
You know, this light, I thought there was a Caucasian there, you know.
No, guys, it's just me. It's just me. I'm trying to work and then follow the conversations as well at the same time. I just got a question for. I mean, I don't know. Do I now call you brother Asad, or do I still call you Asad?
No, you can't. You can't.
Man, listen. Put some respect on it.
Respect on it. You can't.
Stop playing that, bro.
Let's maintain the background.
Somebody the formal names go out the way, be like, that's my boy. You know what I'm saying? So
No, but
call me Asad, brother. It's all good.
I feel like Asad and myself have shared bread so many times. I can call him Asad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, but you mentioned something about funerals in New Orleans. You said that when someone dies, you guys dance in the streets and you celebrate their life. But look at it from let's say from a religious point of view. If that person was not a believer, what then happens? You know, in Christianity, if you die as an unbeliever, and hell is promised. I'm not sure what happens in the Islamic world and things like that. So now, in this case,
New Orleans is not an Islamic city; it is a Catholic city, and just about everybody is Catholic or Christian, and Black people are overwhelmingly Christian. So even if they were gangsters and thugs and robbing and killing people, they'll have a cross on their neck. Some of them, the biggest rapper from my city, his name is Soldier Slim. He had a cross tattooed in his face. Yeah, he had a cross tattooed right here. So, so 99% of the time, brother, they will identify as Christians, and so we're very liberal with our belief, and we believe that even if they were sinning a lot while they were here, we don't know what they said to God in the last seconds of their life, right? If they told God, there's a story about a rapper named Mo 3. Mo 3 got gunned down. Somebody chased him on the highway on foot and chased him and killed him for like they chased him for like 2 or 3 minutes on foot on the highway and shot him and gunned him down. And I say that was a blessing from God, because he, in that moment that he was running, in those 2 or 3 minutes, he had an opportunity to repent and say, God, please forgive me. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know what they say right before they die. We don't know what their heart says to God. And then at the end of the day, it might not be anything that they vocalize. It may be something that they feel in their heart. If in Islam, for instance, if you commit a sin and you feel bad about it, you feel guilty about it, Allah forgives you because that's showing it in your nature. Your nature is showing that you were good. You know, people who can do bad things and don't feel bad about it, those are very dangerous people. We got names for them, sociopaths and psychopaths, right? So yeah, but usually the people are they'll have like a Christian funeral and then they have the street funeral, right? So it's out in the street, and so they'll have something starting off in the church where they have the eulogy and all of the type of Christian activity, and then they take the casket out. If you're rich, you have a horse-drawn carriage, and the horse will lead you away, and everybody's dancing. If you broke, people just carry your carriage. You get your partners in there. Hey, look, the pallbearers really do work in New Orleans.
There's no gun salute or something of that nature.
Oh no! But my grandfather who was a war veteran. I mean, I know you're playing, but my grandfather who was a war veteran, at his funeral, they had 21 salute. Yeah, 21 gun salute, but not at the second line funerals. But that's another thing of honor. Like a black man who gets a 21 gun salute at his funeral. That's like, that was a proud moment when they handed that American flag to my grandmother. No matter how much we despise that country, something about that recognition, like, he was a soldier,
No, I get you.
But I want to say that somebody. Well, go ahead, brother.
Brother, sorry. You can go through Sandy then.
No, I just want to ask Asad if they've heard of After Tears since being in SA.
Yeah, I don't know. He has heard of it. There's no way.
No, I don't know what that is. Who that is or what it is.
and after Tears is like the way Brother Asad was explaining it, like even when somebody has died, they dance on their coffin. The way he said it is the same thing. It's like after we have buried somebody, we go on the street, we drink and celebrate. I think it's the same thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, yeah, we do that all the time. That's called a repast where I'm from.
Yeah, we go to your place and then we throw a party.
Yeah, that's a repast.
That's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Shout out to our African culture staying alive. We definitely do that.
Like, no, but like here, especially if you don't want to go to an after tears when somebody was a gangster. That is just there's guns, they're shooting in the air, you don't know what's gonna happen. And they're not committing any crime. The crime they're committing is that they have guns and whatever. They spin cars and whatever. That is dangerous.
Oh,
that is very dangerous. But there's some other after tears that they just sit on the street and just like celebrate you and drink and play loud music, and that's it.
That's what I like. That's the repasses I'm used to. I don't drink, but I like the loud music and everybody celebrating. The night, sitting around talking, telling stories. You remember when Asad said this? And you leave there feeling, even those who are still in the process of mourning. So let me tell you the beauty of the dancing at the funeral. I seen a man who got killed and his mama was at the funeral. You know how much pain she had to be in to lose a child? But for that 5 minutes, those 30 minutes when she's dancing and she's moving, she's working some of that out. She's sending some of that pain away. And sometimes they be dancing and crying at the same time. This is like they're thinking about their family member, their loved one, but they're working it out. And from that, I think that's a very important part of the healing process in terms of grief, because there's a transition from grief to celebration. And even if they go back home and still are feeling sad and are still grieving, they have already conditioned their mind to begin to heal. Now, a sister of mine is writing her dissertation on the second line funerals, and she says that it has become such a celebratory event that we are not taking basically we don't take death as seriously as we should.
But
we don't understand the gravity of it.
Brother Asad, it's like not to be like sound very I don't know how, like, hey, this English is too much. But if you have
it's a foreign language, so don't worry.
Yeah, if you have passed on, the only thing we can do, that is me, the only thing we can do is bury you with respect. After we've buried you, then we can go and celebrate you. That's just my take.
Absolutely. That's absolutely.
Yeah. When we go to the graveyard, we'll cry and then we'll sing hymns with the churches and whatever. And we go back home and start celebrating you. I understand where this thing started from. It's like, we cannot cry forever. It's like, back in the days, I remember when I was growing up, when it was a funeral, it's like we go there, bury that person, and after that, we take the tents off, we take everything off, we have the family.
It was painful.
We leave the family. We just leave the family like that, and then
so much.
Yeah, you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to know that their loved ones were not only loved by them.
Yeah.
If Brother Sandy they will agree with me, there was a saying by Cossus. Cossus said, "Each one teach one," and there was another saying by it was a black community. It takes a village. That's a black community. It's not Africa. It's not America. It's a black thing.
Black. Yeah.
It's black. You know. So we need to, like, after somebody has passed on, we need to actually support the family. As a funeral takes a week with us black people in South Africa, a funeral takes a week. If you pass on, we have to wait for people to come from where, and then in 6 days, then we're gonna bury you. And then after that, people will go back. But in those 6 days, there will be family members, there will be neighbors, there will be whatever who come to your home and bring whatever they bring and whatever, so that whoever is coming will have a meal or whatever. And then, but after we have buried you, I don't actually, people said like we've like lost our culture. It's like, no, we've never lost it. It's just that like now it makes sense to me only, maybe to other people it doesn't. To me, with dignity, and after that, we going to celebrate your life, so your family can see that, wow, this person had people that he lived with.
I just want to add something about that particular week. What happens is that
in a different perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could just offer a different perspective on that. I also believe in celebrating after a funeral, but like for me, what we actually celebrating, it's the person's life, basically, the marks that they left in this world, basically what makes them or what makes us remember them, which is their character. And again, I think it ties back to what I was saying earlier, that in order for you to be a designated ancestor, you need to have some certain character that we remember you with. And hence why even after your death, what lives on is your spirit, right? And in my home language, spirit is direct translation, kisiriti, and which ties to your character when you used to be alive, basically. So after death, what stays is your spirit, and spirit is very much tied into your character that we remember you. Like if you're Brother Asad, and what stands out about you is your kindness, your humor. It's what will remember you with, and that's what we're gonna celebrate even after you left this earth.
As we are talking about death right now, I was scrolling through my Facebook timeline, and someone's mother just passed. And this is how she said it, though. This is how she announced it. She said, it is with unimaginable sadness that my sisters, my niece, and I announced the passing of our mother, and she named her mother. And then the next word she said is, God has spoken, let the church say amen. So that is I don't know, that's just a very powerful statement in our understanding of how we address death. Somebody asked me some questions I wanted to get to. Brother Simon, I believe, asked me about Congo. Let me see. He said, Asad, I went to New Orleans and learned about Congo. Can you discuss this topic in another video, please? So for those who don't know, African Americans come from West Africa. The majority of us come from West Africa. We come from Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Gambia, Congo, and Angola. And the majority of Black people living in New Orleans who are like native or autochthonous, who've been there, they are probably descendants of the people from the Congo. Hence, in New Orleans, there is a place called Congo Square. And for the last 300-400 years, Black folk from New Orleans, we meet in Congo Square on Sunday, and we have drum sessions and dancing and just hang out with each other. You know, now that tradition is starting, unfortunately, as y'all talked about, your traditions here dying, that tradition is slowly going away. So when you go out there now, it's the weirdest thing because you see old Black people and a whole bunch of white people who want to take pictures of the old Black people doing our traditional stuff. So, but yeah, so that's the Congo. So that's why there's a Congo Square in New Orleans. It is very important culturally to who we are. They tried to, recently they said they were going to build a new city hall near Congo Square, and the entire city, Black and white people, were out in outrage because it is a sacred place for Black Americans, for Black New Orleanians. So, brother asked me to talk about that. Go ahead.
Asad, brother Kenny, did you want to say something, or Sandy, did you want to say something? Because like, what I'm going to say is, I jumped, when I came to this conversation, they were talking about something else. And then like, I just stood there and listened because I didn't know where the conversation was coming from. But like, I would like Brother Sandy and the rest of us, the rest of you guys to speak on this topic until I go back to something that I wanted to say to Brother Asad.
I just wanted to, there's a part I missed. I wanted to bring of the week. You spoke about the funeral. You said the funeral happens, it takes about a week for the funeral to happen. And I wanted to explain what happens during that week. So whatever happens during that week is it's quite therapeutic because
it's different
people, families, friends come
together. Yes.
That is why after we finish burying, most of us, especially Black people, I don't know maybe these days, but I know we don't go for counseling because that particular week had done that already, had done the best part of healing.
Yeah, you are right, brother.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that's like powerful. The whole week is just people coming, consoling you and telling you, like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay the whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so do they bring money?
Some
yes,
bring money.
They bring money, they bring clothes, they
bring food, bring food,
cakes,
everything.
Yeah, definitely. So that's exactly what we would call like, well, they just, so it's not official. People just start passing by your house, checking on you, bringing you some food, bringing you some money in case you need help with the funeral. You know, sitting with you. Somebody might, if you got young children, somebody might pick up your kids and say, look, I'm gonna take your children with me so you can, have a little time.
In the rural areas, it's even intense because somebody will actually come live with you in your house so that you don't never be alone.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Your neighbors will come and live with you.
What you say?
Yeah.
I was saying,
So they will come.
It's the same thing. Because she was like, when people pass on, you could let them be alone.
Yeah, okay.
A few weeks.
Adrienne is saying that out in another part of our state in Shreveport, when people pass on, they don't let them be alone for a few weeks. So everybody, somebody's always in the house. Yeah, somebody's always with that person at all times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But like with now, because of like it's became more modern, when you die today, they take you to the morgue, right? Just to investigate, whatever. But like whoever is left in the house, people from the neighbors, especially where I come from in Mpumalanga, your neighbors will come, and then 2 people who are older will come and live with you, so that they can encourage you and like console you and those type of stuff. But like on that, you won't be alone in that week.
Yeah.
Basically, that week it's very therapeutic because it's counseling. It's a way of healing. It helps the mourner to heal as much as they can, because losing someone is one of the I think, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very painful. Now that particular week, when these people are coming in to talk, to see the person that's mourning, this person gets better and better and better. So when we're done, when we have buried, the pain will go. But I don't know, you won't find some of us going for, you see, this counseling. I don't know when did they start, but we never had them.
Yeah, we never actually
I
did.
want to get to a few of the comments. So brother Lethbo,
Levo, L-E-D-O.
No, his name is Lethabo.
Letabo.
Oh, Letabo. Yeah, that's my brother that was on earlier. He said, so basically New Orleans, New Orleans is basically a Bantu city, considering the Zulu parade as well. New Orleans is, I don't know what you call that, man, because it is definitely African. It's West African. It's no doubt about it. Our food comes like, gumbo is a West African word for okra, and we eat gumbo. That's part of our cultural tradition. We eat jambalaya, which is a version of jollof, which is a West African food. Yes, somebody said that in Ghana they have the dancing pallbearers. So the carrying the caskets through the streets that I was talking about, that's a Ghanaian tradition, another West African tradition. So shout out to South Creation. He's from New Orleans too. He said he missed the old New Orleans of the 90s. So New Orleans was different. New Orleans of the 90s was different, big different, man. But unfortunately, it's going back that way. Shout out to Lozy.
Oh, sorry.
Lozy is in the building. Simon said, I learned that the Congo people who were deported to Virginia were the warriors who fought the Portuguese. Once the king that killed, he raised an army of 75,000 people. They had been deported. Wow. Well, so to tell you what, they used to ship all the rowdy, bad slaves to New Orleans. So if you were in Virginia and you were a slave and you were cutting up, they would ship you to New Orleans, because New Orleans had like some of the worst masters. On the flip side, New Orleans was the only place in the United States that had slaves that let their slaves off on Sunday, which is one of the reasons why, and they let slaves, the enslaved Africans, continue to practice native religions. So in New Orleans, Voodoo and Ifa, which comes from like Nigeria, is a daily practice. So you have people who are both Catholic and practice Voodoo.
Before I leave, I just want to Brother Easy and Brother Kenneth and Brother Sandile. Like before I came like before I tuned in, brother Letabo was speaking to my sister. Yeah, Letabo was speaking like about the role of like the role that women had back in the days. What my father had told me when I was growing up is like, you know, this thing like the father or the man is the head of the family. My father said like, no, it's not. It's like when they were raised, the woman used to be the head of the family because like what men did is just to go and hunt, but who takes care of the house, who takes care of the kids, who takes care of everything? All you had to do is just go and chill there and kill something and come back with it. But like the women were the head of the house.
Yeah.
That's what it like. And then like when I was growing up, because like my father told me this, and I hear on the street like the father is the head of the house, like, but like that's not how I was raised, because my dad told me like the women were the head of the house because of 1, 2, 3. So I was commenting on what Brother Tabo said, like, hey, because like I joined the conversation in the middle, but like, so that's how we were raised. Like as African men, we know that like these without women, we actually no way. Because like if you look at Winnie Mandela, it's like if it wasn't for Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela would still be in jail today. So those kind of, you know, it's just that like I when you guys were chatting about it, like I just caught it in the middle. I just wanted to comment on that story.
Definitely, brother. But you know what, y'all? It's 11:15. We've been on this thing 2 hours and 15 minutes. You know, we could run these lives all night.
I know you guys, like, real quick.
But I wanted to say one more thing, and I want to say this way earlier. So tomorrow I'm going to the doctor. I wanted to talk about health. So and I'll say this to the few people who are on here. So Saturday I went to the clinic, and my blood pressure was 150 over 100, which is bad. It's really bad. So my doctor wanted me to come in tomorrow at 9:30 to discuss what's going on with my blood pressure. So I want to encourage everybody. So we about to do an accountability challenge, right? Okay. I done gained too much weight eating all this South African food, going out to eat. It got my blood pressure high. Now it's serious now. I'm messing around, stroke out. So I'm already on blood pressure medicine. So I'm like, I got to get right. So now we're about to go on besides the meetups, even at the meetups, I'm about to eat healthy. We're about to eat healthy, drink water. You know what I'm saying? We got to pray, eat healthy, and drink water. And I want everybody to go on an accountability challenge and get as healthy as you can, because I ain't scared, but I'm serious right now.
I've been trying to stop smoking. It's difficult.
That blood pressure will have you stroking out and catching heart attacks and ruining your kidneys. So everybody get on your healthy kick. It's 2023. We can't play games no more, and I really can't, because I turned 44 this year. And yeah, and so I say that to say, everybody, please send some positive vibes for me tomorrow, because I'm going to the doctor. Please send up some.
You got it already, my brother.
You need to rest.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. You're right, because I need to stop smoking. That's what I need to do.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, family. Well, y'all have a great night, man. It's a wonderful conversation. We'll be back soon with another live or another video or something. And man, it's always a pleasure linking with my South African family. To my African American family that was watching, shout out to y'all. To anybody else that was watching, shout out to y'all, man. We definitely love y'all, and we will be back soon and very soon. All right, peace, family.
Good night. Peace. Night.
Uh-oh.